I'm gonna pray that my battery doesn't die. Okay. Happy August, or end of August, you guys. Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Brooklyn, and I am doing a book wrap up for the month of August. Here are all the books that I've read in the month of August. I did do some like online books. I've read 8 books in the month of August. This month was pretty decent for me. This month was my last month where I'm fully going to get like time off. I started school mid-August, I think, so that's kind of when my reading went downhill in terms of the volume that I was reading at, but in the weeks leading up to school, I read my butt off. I started really strong, and then I feel like towards the end, it kind of like tapered out. First book that I read was Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. We're back with the tabbing again, but this time I did a tabbing system just to kind of try it out and see if I liked it. I don't really know what to put on mine, but this is what I said for my tab. They're all more or less the same. It's just like worded differently. I don't know. I mean, the coloring's like really pretty on it. Like, it's really cute. And I also underlined, which I think has started to free up the amount of tabs that I've been using. This is a YA. I would say they're more of a frenemies to lovers than like enemies to lovers. It's also fake dating, but I don't feel like the fake dating trope was like fake dating, because there was a sense of familiarity with them and their friendship that they already had, so it felt more natural, and it didn't really emphasize the he's my boyfriend in a way. I gave this book a 5 stars. It was just so good. This was a playlist that I listened to. Pluto Projector by Rex Orange County just gave me such good vibes when reading this book. This book was so cute, and it was everything that I love. So this book is basically about Liz, who is a hopeless romantic. She grew up like watching rom-com movies and just loves rom-com, and her neighbor Wes is just kind of like a pain in her side. Liz is a senior in high school, and this guy, Michael, who she was friends with when she grew up, finally came back to high school after he moved away, and she is like, I love this man. I need to be his girlfriend. And the only way that she can really get into talking with Michael is befriending Wes, who is friends with Michael. Her and Wes kind of come up with this plan where they fake date each other, and Wes helps Liz kind of become cooler and like the way she dresses and how she acts to try and gain Michael's attention. She eventually finds out that she likes being around Wes. Everything just kind of gets scrambled in her mind. The way Lynn Painter was writing, you could feel the between when Liz was talking with Wes and Liz was talking to Michael. That differentiation might not be how you say that. It just flowed more easy when she was talking to Wes, and you could feel her being more relaxed compared with Michael. Lynn Painter's writing style was so good, and at the beginning of each chapter gives you little quotes. So this one's from 27 Dresses. Just the character development of this, and like being able to see the development of like Wes and Liz throughout the book is so good. I love the ending. It was so perfect. The way it was written, I could picture it so clearly. Nothing in this book felt unnecessary. Everything connected so well. Really love this book. Definitely recommend. The second book that I read is Better Than the Prom by Lynn Painter, and this is a novella of Wes's point of view at the prom, which was the main point of Better Than the Movies, was for Liz to ask Michael out to prom. But it's from his perspective, Wes's perspective. So it's a YA, same like tropes and everything, but it's from Wes's point of view, and I gave this a 5-star. Just handed them out this month. But this one was so good because seeing Wes's thoughts, and especially after seeing his development from the first book and how he felt towards the end, was so good. It made everything so much more perfect. I wish when I was reading Better Than the Movies it was dual point of view, just so you can kind of get an insight into Wes. I think it was really cool seeing how he viewed every moment with Liz and his thoughts. I read it off of simonteen.com. That's where I got the e-version of it. Yeah, I would definitely recommend that one. The third book that I read is Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren, and this book, you guys, I am still thinking about this book till this day. Like, I don't think I'll ever not think about this book. It is a contemporary romance, second chance, childhood friends to lovers. So basically, this book is about Macy and Elliot, who were childhood friends, became lovers, and something happened in their past where Macy stopped talking to Elliot for 11 years. They run into each other when they're older and kind of rekindle. But Macy's in a relationship right now. Everything that she's built for herself doesn't really matter anymore, and she starts to question her life and the relationship she's in and whether or not she wants to open up this relationship again with Elliot and rekindle this friendship. It's a dual timeline of the past and present, so we get to see when they first met growing up, leading up to the big situation, and then present timeline when they rekindle again and kind of sort out the issues that were left unsettled. I gave this book a 5-star. Obviously, after I finished it, I was like, it's almost put me in like a little slump. I don't think anything will ever match it because it's just so good, and I love this trope. Once again, the writing was beautiful. I just had this sense of like nostalgia while reading this, and it was very comforting. It just made like you wanted to finish the book so quick because you get one perspective of them just being so happy, and then the next it's like they're like different people with one another. Love Elliot. I love his character development. I love the way he is. I just love Elliot. Elliot is like top book boyfriend. The ending got me so good. Can I use good anymore? It was a twist I wasn't expecting, because while reading it, I'm trying to think like what could have happened that made her stop talking to him for 11 years. Like what was so bad? And I think there are some things that towards the ending about what happened that wasn't really talked about in terms of for Elliot. If you've read the book, you kind of know maybe what I'm talking about. I love the whole plot. The way the story unfolded and how it was laid out was just amazing. Chef's kiss. I love Elliot. I love this whole story. And then I think there's also like a bonus chapter from Elliot's perspective somewhere. I read it on TikTok, or I don't know where I found it. I think I read it on TikTok. It was like 30 pages. Didn't tab it as much, but I definitely underlined more. I love this book, and I would definitely recommend. This is the playlist that I listen to. Butterflies by Casey Musgraves. Such a good song for them. Please read it if you have it on your shelves. Read it right now. The 4th book that I've read is You Are a Badass by Jensen, if that's how you say your last name. This is a self-help book. This was just more of a book that I read periodically throughout the month. I did like 10 pages a day. I tabbed, I underlined, like just a good self-help book. I've read a few self-help books and they all kind of say the same thing, just like worded differently and from a different perspective. I think she put it in a way that made sense and that was relatable. She also connected religion and God in everything in the grand scheme of how the world works and how the universe works and how we're all connected. So I really like that aspect of this. I wouldn't say it's like fully like a religious self-help Christian book. I gave it a 4 stars. Like I said, I feel like all self-help books are pretty much the same. This one was just really popular and I really wanted to read it. My 5th book that I read this month, I think, is where I started to go downhill. It would be horrible for me to say that I peaked when I read Love in Other Words in terms of good books this month, but I think that's just kind of the sad truth. My 5th book that I read was 1984 by George Orwell, and this book was highly recommended from my dad. So Dad, if you're watching this, I've already kind of given my opinion on this to him, but how dare you have me read this? He recommended this to me so much, and I know this was like required in high school to read, but my school never, like we never read this in high school. I don't know if that's like a thing anymore, but it's a dystopian social science fiction. I had to listen to the audiobook because I felt like I couldn't picture what was happening, and I felt stupid while reading it. I was reading it so slow, and I don't know if it's just the way like the pages, like how it's written, because there's like no separation, especially when there's dialogue. Like occasionally there will be, but it's just really hard for me to get into this and understand in like the span of the book. And like looking at it, I'm like, oh, I can like read this pretty quick. Like it's only like 300 pages. Like I can get through that. No. Found an audio version of this and I put it on the fastest speed possible and I just listened to it. And there were interesting parts, but my thing with this book is I just could not see where it was going. I had like no interest in knowing what would happen next because I couldn't picture anything. Like I could not visualize this world and this person. I understand the message is like very Big Brother vibes. I don't have it in me to DNF a book. I truly don't, because I want to be able to say I read the book. The ending was interesting. I think if I was actually reading it and paying attention to it, I would be more shocked of what happened. I could see the appeal of why people like this book and why it's so highly thought of and read. It just wasn't for me. I gave this book a 2-star. I would still recommend this book. I just didn't like it, but I'm sure if it falls in the right hands, someone will like it. The 6th book that I've read this month, I listened to it, but it was by Jenny Han. It's the third book of the Summer I Turned Pretty series. It's a YA and there's a love triangle of Belly, Jeremiah, and Conrad. If you haven't heard of the show or read the books, Isabel, or Belly, grew up in this beach house with her mom and her mom's best friend and her two boys, which is Jeremiah and Conrad. Belly is in love with Conrad, but as summer goes on and like she grows up and gets older and life changes, she tries to ignore that love for him and kind of explores other people. I don't really have like a synopsis of this book like in front of me. The first book is just Belly's book, the second book is Jeremiah's book, and then the third book's Conrad's book. I am a team Conrad girly. I needed confirmation just to like make myself feel better after the second season and what I had to go through watching it. If you haven't read the first two, kind of like skip over this, but the third book is about Belly and Jeremiah are about to get married and they're, I think, sophomores in college. It all results to them going back to the summer house because Belly's mom does not agree with it, but Belly is so headstrong and wants to have the wedding and get married to Jeremiah. And Conrad comes back into the picture and everything just kind of gets scrambled. It's close proximity because they're in the house together while Jeremiah has to do like a summer internship, and Conrad's home for the summer and Belly's working on the wedding while in the summer house. Feelings that she has for him come in and out, but she's still fighting him for some reason. I read this, like I said, because I forgot. I read it a year ago and I already forgot what happened. In the audio version, Lola Tung, who plays Isabel Conklin in this show, she did the audio, and then Christopher Briney also did the audio for Conrad. The way they read it was just perfect. Yeah, I just really needed that pick-me-up after the second season. Loved the season. I love season 2. It was so good. Love that book. Thought I'd just throw it in here because I did a little reread of this. I read it last year. I can't remember what I think I gave it a 5 star. So I gave the audiobook a 5 star again. The 7th book that I read was Twisted Love by Anna Huang. This book is a contemporary romance. It is, I'd say, brother's best friend type of trope. This is the playlist that I listen to. So this book is about Ava and Alex, and Ava is a college student. She's very free-spirited, loves doing her own thing. She's into photography. And then there's Alex, Ava's brother's wait, Ava's brother Josh, his best friend is Alex, and Josh is going away, I think, for like school, for like medical stuff that he's doing to like help in another country, and he needs Alex to watch over his sister because she is just like a wild child and free spirit, and she just needs that extra eye to protect over her, especially because of her traumatic childhood past that she has. She thinks Alex hates her, and she also doesn't really like him because of how he's so cold to her, and she's such a warm and like it's basically grumpy sunshine. They both have their own trauma from their own past and childhood. Alex promises Josh that he'll watch over Ava. Yeah, and that's where the love story starts, I guess. The chapters are double point of view, so you get some from Alex and Ava. It just flips back and forth. I ended up giving this a 3.5 out of 5 stars because I just didn't think it was that good, but I could see the appeal once again. But what did I read? That's how I felt after I finished the book. What was this? I understand the hype behind it, and I think it could have been executed very differently. And it started very strong. There was a lot of tension, a lot of push and pull between the two, and then it just kind of strayed very far from what was okay. It was just very out of pocket. Some of the stuff that Alex did for and like to Ava as a protective way to like watch over her, it wasn't really protective. It was just weird. So many things were started, and there was quick resolutions for all of them, and I don't think there was enough tension and build-up for their relationship to be the way it was. I don't know how to describe this feeling. The spice in this book too was not developed at all. It just happened so quickly, and there was still so much of the book left. I was like, where is this gonna go? After we resolved all of their childhood trauma, there was still like 100 pages left. I couldn't take Alex seriously. Some of the stuff he did was just so out of pocket, and I felt like I was being like pranked while reading this book. I don't know. There was something missing in this book, and I can't verbalize it. You just like have to read it. And I know some people love this book, but I also know that other books in the series are better. I have high hopes for them. I'm not like not gonna finish the series, but the first one, this one just wasn't my favorite. I went in kind of with like higher expectations than what I had finishing it. My 8th and final book that I read in the month of August was Iced Out by Veronica Eden. This is a romance, hockey romance, brother's rival. if that's how you like term it correctly. This is the playlist that I listen to while reading this book. This is another one, you guys. This is like, I had 2 downhill books this month. I had such high hopes for, and I'm pretty sure I said like, what can go wrong with a hockey romance? This is what could go wrong with a hockey romance. This book is about Easton and Maya. Easton is the captain of the hockey team at, I don't know how to say that the university's name. It's either Heston? I think it's Heston, but I want to say Houston. I can't remember. And his goal is to make it and to get drafted because he has like 1 year left before he has to become like free agent. I'm not really sure how the hockey thing works. And Maya's brother is Easton's rival in hockey, and he plays at like this other school that's the college's rival. I don't even know like how to give like a description of this book. All the back says is it's dancing on bar tops means the night is going great. Exiting the bar hauled over the shoulder of Heston's University's notorious hockey captain. Not my idea of a good time. It's definitely a fluffy romance. Like, it's very cute, fun, like hockey. There's nothing deep to this. I gave it a 3 stars. It wasn't my favorite hockey romance. I've definitely read better. I think the best that I've read is The Deal, like that series. I haven't even read the series. I just read the first book, and that was the best hockey romance I've ever read. It was just, I'm not gonna get into it, but this one, bordering like okay. It just wasn't my favorite. I think the whole hockey aspect of stuff, which is interesting, but I also don't care. And he was just like he wanted to love her, and she like, I just don't think it was written that well to where that like push and pull dynamic between the two of her being the grumpy and him being the sunshine was executed very well. It was just weird. Like, there's just some stuff like that was started and written about them that made no sense. And there were no drama points, issues in this book. And I'm not saying every book has to have like some big issue, but also there was no outside force really stopping them from getting together, besides the fact that Maya was just like, I don't want to date hockey boys. I've had bad experiences with them in the past, which is a valid reason because she was treated very badly. I don't know, it just wasn't like deep enough to where you feel connected to the characters and their lives and the situations that they're going through. It was so surface level. I sometimes found the spice to be so cringy. I'm pretty sure this is the one where he calls her baby like 20 times. Just, I can't with that nickname. Yeah, this is the one where he calls her baby like 24/7. So I didn't really, that one's kind of cringy to me. I don't know why. It's just quick romance with some spice. Nothing really deep. I just wish there was more of like this outside force from the fact that he was dating her and her brother was his rival. They touched on that slightly, but beyond that, there was really nothing stopping them. So these are all the books that I've read in the month of August. Like I said, I thought this month was pretty good. I do think it fizzled out kind of right here and up. Listen, Better Than the Movies and Love in Other Words will be top contenders always. I'm just really trying to get through my TBR, to be so honest. So even if they're bad, like, I'm still gonna read them. Now I want to show you guys my TBR for the month of September. So I have a few books for my TBR. I am full-time student now, and I'm also a student athlete. So I don't really have time in the day like I did during the summer to just sit down and read for as long as I'd love to, because I have school I have to worry about now and figuring out how to manage all that in my life. But we're not gonna get into that. So first book on my September TBR is Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. I am currently reading this right now, and just like a quick little check-in, I am on page 144. This book has also taken me some time to get like really into and like to be interested in, but I think I've reached a point where I'm actually intrigued and interested in this book. My second book on my TBR is A Little Life. Now, I said this was on my August TBR, and every time I try to start it, I just reach for my other books. And I think it's just because I'm intimidated by how many pages there are. I did start it. I'm on page 46. This is kind of another one of those books where I can't see what the main point of the book is and like why I should be interested to read it. But I've heard so many things about this book and I really want to read it. So I'm gonna go into it with like a cleared mindset and not really like with any expectations of what it could be or what I'm gonna get out of it. I am very interested to see what the story is. I need to finish this book in September. This is my goal. If next wrap up I don't have this in my wrap up, then I am disappointing myself at that point. The next book is Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Heard a lot of great reviews about this. I didn't like Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which I mentioned last month, but I've seen people say that this one's really good and to give this a chance, so I'm really excited to read this. The final book, and this is like reaching in terms of reading all these books, is Twisted Games by Anna Huang. This is the second book in the Twisted series. I think this is about, was it Bridget and her bodyguard, Reese. I want to get into the second book. I think they either said this one or the third book was the best of the series. I can't really remember. It's giving First Daughter vibes. If you haven't seen that movie, please go watch it. It's so good. I think it's on YouTube right now for free. So that is going to conclude this video. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing all the books that I read in the month of August, as well as my September TBR. Let me know what books you read in the month of August and what you have planned for the month of September. Thank you guys so much again for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.